How you doing, folks? It's Descattys. Right, in this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about my firelighting kit. The firelighting kit that always stays on my belt, and I'll wear it obviously when I'm out in the woods for firelighting. Okay, so stay with me for another interesting and exciting video. Okay, folks, so let's take a look at me my firelighting kit. Right, okay. So if I open it up, obviously like most of these sort of Tinder pouches and such like, this is basically got the sort of sand brown stud there with a flap that comes over and secures it to strap in place and keeps the lid nice and shut. All right, and in there I've obviously got all my my little goodies for lighting fires. Okay, so I've got some. First thing I've got is some jute string. Jute's quite good, obviously, because of, you know, you can fluff it up, light it, and obviously use it to light tinders and such like, natural materials if you so wish. Of late, I've just quite recently made some of these super matches, and basically what they were is I'll put a link in the bottom, but there's a guy on YouTube called the Grey Bearded Green Beret. I don't know if people have heard of him. He's an instructor with the Pathfinder School, and he's got a great channel there. And one of the videos that he shows, excuse me, is how to make these super matches. And basically, they're made by using the UCO matches. Okay, they're wrapped in cotton wool, so on and so forth, dipped in wax, and they basically work pretty well. So I've actually got 3 of those in there as well. I can show. I might even do a separate video if people are interested. Please let me know. Okay, leading on, I've got a Bic Lighter. Okay, I've got one that stays inside my firelighting pouch, and I've often got one in my pocket as well. All right, of my jacket. I've also got some of these firelight. This is like a paraffin kind of material. I'm not sure what it is. It's very brittle, but again, it works very well for lighting fires. Okay, I've got 2 of those. This is the strike for the super match. Got a piece of flint now, and that goes with my my little steel. Okay, brilliant bit of kit. Absolutely love this. Sparks up very well. Obviously, I use this with Charcloth, which, as you know, it's one of my favourite means of firelighting. It came with a little tin as well, which has layers and layers of good old Charcloth in there. Okay, keeps it all nice and tidy. All right. I've also got in here, this is a tin that I had knocking around in my shed, and I don't use it too often, but it's obviously a good, I've had an old pair of binoculars. Okay, what I've done was I dismantled the old lens off it. Okay, and then obviously I can use this for firelighting when we get some sunshine here in the UK. All right, and then basically what I've done is I've put a little piece of leather inside that tin, another piece in the lid to stop it from, kind of keep it protected inside this little aluminium screw container. All right, keeps it all contained and nicely away. I've got another piece of flint in here, if I can get it out. All right, so I've got 2 flakes of flint. Also, the flint's quite good for your ferro rods as well. Yeah, so I mean, if you, I mean, I'm of the mindset where I like to use a scraper on my ferro rods. But if you manage to find a bit of flint, you can use flint as well. I prefer to use that rather than the back of my knife. Okay, that's just me again. That's my personal choice. All right, and then finally, right at the bottom, squashed right out of the way, I've got a little piece of scrunched up wax card, okay, which again is quite handy for firelighting, whether or not you just use a lighter. If you scruffle it up, you can actually use you can use your ferro rod on there, okay, and then I'll have I don't keep an extra ferro rod in there or anything else. I've got the ferro rod attached to my neck knife that goes around my neck, the Ben Alford one, okay, and that is generally it. And as you can see, if I show you the inside of that pouch as well, it's got some nice, I don't know if it will pick it up on the camera there, but you've got some nice little, I'll tell you what, I've got a head torch here, so let's turn on the head torch, and what I'll do is, yeah, look at that for effects, and what I'll do is, if I shine it in there, you can see the compartments, that's basically the 2 little pockets that are in there, for the basically for the ferro for the sea steel and the Charcloth tin. All right, so I don't know why it's gone a bit dark in here, but anyway, yeah. So there it is. That's my firelighting kit. As you've probably seen in past videos, I also like to go out and try primitive ways of making fire as well, such as using bow drill and such like friction firelighting. But it's always good to have some kind of means of firelighting when, as you can understand, if you just take, for example, the conditions we've just recently had in here in the UK, where it's been raining very heavily, we've had a lot of winds and everything else. So, you know, having stuff like the super match or the Charcloth or even a can of petrol in your kit or something like that, you're obviously going to make it a little bit easier for you to make a fire than wanting to waste sort of countless, you know, sort of useful calories on bow drilling and friction firelighting and that kind of stuff. All right. So there it is. That's my this is my firelighting kit that basically sits on my belt along with my Laplander saw. And then finally what I have, just digressing ever so slightly, as a means of just keeping my hands clean when I'm sort of, you know, carrying out duties, collecting wood and such like, what I've got there is, this is basically one of those Maxpedition kind of clips that wraps around your belt, and basically it holds a pair of, I've got an old pair of mechanics gloves there, and I use them just to sort of like when I'm sort of doing heavy work around the campsite. All right, so there you go. So we'll just pack that away nicely. I mean, I am looking at the weekend, because we had weather that was obviously sort of retired a lot of us to indoors, which it will do. It's, you know, it's a bit, if you don't have to go out in them conditions unless you really want to test yourself, then by all means go and do it. But it's not something that you really want to be playing all the time. All right, because it is, you know, it is dangerous to be in those sort of conditions. So with that said, I decided to retire myself to the shed, and in that process, I was able to obviously make my super matches and do some other bits and pieces while I was out over the weekend. And what I did notice as well, experimenting wise, I actually purchased some liquid paraffin. And what I've done was a little bit, I might do a video on it and do a tales from the shed, do it as a tales from the shed kind of one. And what I've done was I got some cotton pads off my wife, the makeup removal pads. And what I've done was I actually just brushed some of that liquid paraffin just onto one side of the cotton pad. Now it's not going to dry because it is pretty much like an oil. But if you had a similar tin to what the magnifying glass is in, okay, what you can do is you can actually pack some of those inside your little tin. That can go inside a pocket, or that can go inside your Tinder pouch or whatever. And all you need to do is, if you wanted to use one, is basically just fluff up a bit of cotton wool, fire a ferro rod into it, and there you go. You've got an immediate means of firelighting. So even out in those conditions, because I did actually try it, especially with those super matches, I actually lit one of those matches while it was coming down with rain and windy on the Saturday, and it worked quite well. So again, if I've got some sort of sensible tinder to use that will take a flame, obviously that will work. So that will obviously give you a head start. It's very easy for people to sit down and say, oh yeah, I'll bow drill this and I'll do that, and you know, it's just a waste of time. You know, it's a waste of time. Why bother? You know, if you've got stuff like that on your person, then use it. You know, to me, at the end of the day, if you've got to be bow drilling, if you've got to be friction firelighting in any way, form, okay, unless it's something specific that you wish to train for, okay, you're in a bit of a poor state of affairs, I personally think. All right, but that's just me. All right, so there it is, folks. I hope you like that. That was just the contents of my my firelighting pouch, my Tinder pouch. All right, so same again. Don't forget that I've now got a community. I've been, obviously, because of having over 1,000 subscribers, I've now got the community opportunity to have the community on YouTube. All right, I am on Facebook occasionally. You can reach me on Instagram as well, or obviously just on here on YouTube and leave your comments. All right, so thanks for watching. Oh, and also as a final one, I do hope you're enjoying the podcast. All right, those that are actually listening to it. If you didn't know I've got a podcast, go over and check out Anchor FM. There's always a link in the description. So just go over there and go and listen to my dulcet tones just talking about bushcraft and outdoor stuff. All right, so thanks for watching, folks. Descattys signing out, and I'll see you on the flip side.